once it doesn't last. I can't live off somebody else's passion. I can't work and do anything really major. I can't impact others with somebody else's passion. And I
Mm.
didn't know that.
Sometimes the most powerful transformation doesn't come from a dramatic crash and burn. It comes from the quiet tug in our heart whispering, "This isn't for me anymore." That's exactly where today's guest, Kelly Parker, found herself. From the outside, she had it all: a thriving business, a glowing reputation, a picture of success. But on the inside, she felt out of alignment, like she was living someone else's script. Kelly realised those unspoken childhood rules: be a good girl, don't take up too much space, and do what's expected, had followed her into adulthood and were quietly shaping every decision she made. Today, Kelly is rewriting the rules. Through her work as a speaker, coach, and the founder of Make Your Mark movement, she helps women shed the old scripts, rediscover their true voice, and build lives that feel aligned from the inside out. Kelly, welcome to Positive Vibes.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you
Now,
for having me. Yep.
you're welcome, Kelly. You're welcome. We're very, very eager to hear your story, as I'm sure a few of our listeners will resonate with your story. So, can you take us back to the moment when you felt the first time that subtle pull, something wasn't quite right in your life?
It happened several times actually over the
Mm.
years. I just didn't know what it was really. Um, I had been in and out of different direct sales opportunities with different companies, thinking that was the way that would help me be significant, to make money and be a success and to help my family and all the things. Um, but they didn't last. I was never with a company more than 2 years at a time. And this is like a 20-year journey here. So I'm going to narrow it down. So, I would be so excited. I'm a shiny object. Oh, there's another one, that was a pattern I've found that I am. And so I was excited, and the thrill of something new would always be there at the beginning. And then I would start doing well because I was so gung-ho and in it, in it, in it. And then um, when I would hit a certain point, it would start plateauing, and the excitement was fizzling.
Mm.
Um, and then I would start thinking, it's me, I'm not meant for this. I can't do what they do. I compare me, do the comparison paralysis. I was just talking myself negatively, thinking I'm just not good enough for this.
Yeah.
And then it would fizzle out, and then it would be a lull of, in a blue funk, I would call it. And
Mm.
then, of course, then I'd see another one, and then it would be the same cycle.
Mm.
And I knew that I always had something in me that little spark. I didn't realize it was an entrepreneurial spark or anything like that. But now I realize when I look back that I was feeding off of somebody else's passion.
Mm.
I was borrowing their passion and borrowing their energy for something they were passionate about, obviously. And once it doesn't last,
Mm.
I can't live off somebody else's passion. I can't work and do anything really major. I can't impact others with somebody else's passion. And I
Mm.
didn't know that's what it was. I thought it was just me not being good enough to continue. And I'm not saying direct sales is bad. I want to make that up front because I'm still with a company that I love. It's just not what I'm meant to do, what I'm called to do. Um, And I think you can make an impact through it. It's just not, wasn't mine. And I just realized that I was living by the scripts from my past. That's another whole story.
Mm,
But the scripts that I had that developed in childhood, the limiting beliefs, I call them the script that, stayed with me. And then I started following the scripts of, whoever I was under, my
yeah.
sponsor or the company, because they give you all the things to say and they make it easy, though it takes a lot of work, but they make it sound so easy before you. So it was over time. And then once I started doing a lot of internal looks at myself and working and I finally just asked, what is wrong with me?
Mm,
Why do I do what I do? Why do I procrastinate? Why don't I take action? All the things that I've been told, and you've been, beat over the head with all the motivational quotes and business
mm,
people. And so I just kind of stopped because I tried to start this business last year and I held my first summit and then I dropped the ball again and just quit. I
mm,
just said, I'm a quitter. I just quit everything I do. I'm a failure. I'm a quitter. So then that's when I started saying, why? Why do I do this? And then that's when I started doing the deep work.
mm,
And it was tough. I found things out I didn't like about myself, but I understood more once I started.
mm,
And then, of course, the journaling I started doing, I didn't even plan on journaling. I just started typing and I went back to my childhood. And I was put myself back in grade school and I was, describing how I was, what I did, how I thought. And that was, and this is after I even started this business and I was in the throes of my next summit to get things up and running. And that was the real turning point there.
mm,
And once I felt bad for that little girl, I felt bad for her. I was a people pleaser, like you said. I didn't want to take up too much space. And I realized that I craved to belong to things that I thought were great, be popular, be a cheerleader, be liked,
mm.
uh, you know, I wanted to be needed. And I thought, geez, I can see myself trying, all those things, even at 56.
Mm.
So it was a long road, but now that I've been through it, I'm not regretting anything. I wish I'd learned it a little earlier, but um, it was that it truly got me to, and now I never wanted to be vulnerable and tell anything. And now I want to tell every woman, because I think there's a lot of people that could probably relate to what I've been, my journey, because I didn't think I had a good story. Because everybody says it's your story that you've got a story. And I'm like, I've not had any catastrophes or major tragedies that I've had to,
Mm.
I mean, I still have my parents. Haven't even gone through that kind of loss. So I'm blessed. All the thing. And so I don't have a story that could relate. And now I know I do.
Yeah. So you talked about the script
Mm-hmm.
that you identified. You were
Mm-hmm.
able to identify those scripts.
Yeah.
What were yours? And for those roles,
Mm-hmm.
like be a good girl or a people pleaser, can you share with us how they show up in adulthood ways, in our adulthood, in ways that we may not even notice? So, how did you start recognizing them?
Um, well, after doing that, writing that little story,
Mm,
I recognized them there, and then it just clicked. And so then I could start thinking about the things and how I do now. Um, I am a people pleaser. I mean, I can't hardly say no to anybody because I want them to be happy. I want to be liked. I don't want anybody to not like me. I hate any type of confrontation. So then if it's something that So if it's something I don't agree with, I just don't say anything. So I didn't speak out because I thought it would make somebody mad or hurt their feelings, and then it would cause
Mm,
conflict, and then I would run. So I just, and if there is conflict, I get away. Um, and like just wanting to get this business going and getting it up
mm,
and going, and say I had a day plan of what I needed to do. And I planned on working. And somebody would text, for instance, my daughter. She has two little girls, and so she would say, well, can the girls come over for a couple hours? Well, I've got to go run it. I need to do this. And I just always said, sure,
yeah, yeah,
this can wait. I can do this later,
yeah.
you know. And I never prioritized, what I needed to do.
Mm,
um, I would always find a way to put that second
mm,
or third or whatever. And I realized it was not really, and I didn't, so I had no boundaries. I had no boundaries for me and what I wanted to do. But I truly think too that I didn't have enough belief in myself anyway, or
mm,
the confidence I needed anyway. So it was another out for me to
mm,
not have to do the work and afraid of quitting again or afraid of failing again.
mm,
So it was a kind of a combination that I see now that it was just an easy out. Sure.
mm.
Okay. Yeah.
So your story, a lot of people could resonate, and I could feel myself resonating with that, running away from conflict and all, putting
Hmm.
other people and, business ideas, as a priority opposed to mine.
Hmm.
Was there a particular belief or pattern that was really hard for you to let go of?
Worrying about what other people think
Mm,
was probably one of the biggest. Um, like I said, about being vulnerable. And I know that in doing what I am doing now with this coaching business that I'm, launching and getting started, um, I, and, you always hear everybody, people want to trust you and you need to be vulnerable to let them know that you're authentic and you're real and you have issues. And that's how you make the connections. And I was always so hesitant about doing it. I just couldn't get on it on Facebook, for instance, and do a live and just say something, that was deep about me. And I always worried about what people thought. I was always worried about it. And because I didn't want anybody to think I was stupid, because I have always felt that. I was the habitual direct sales girl here forever. It got to be like, oh, geez, what's mom doing now? And it was those kind of comments. I'm not blaming them for saying it because I was in several, but it's still just it didn't encourage me. It
mm,
did what everything else had been doing, just knocked me down another,
mm,
notch.
yeah. And
So I think the approval and the validation that I so craved to belong, to be invited here, to be with
mm,
this clique, or, just and so it was very important to me that to be liked, and I was afraid
yeah.
to get out there.
Mm,
And once that I, worked on myself, now I don't care to be vulnerable. I'll tell you all kinds of stuff because I
mm,
think that's the true way to help somebody. And now I just want to,
mm,
that's I'm ready.
yeah.
But that was my biggest thing, was worried about the approval. And
Mm,
then I kept reading that quote that would say, if you live for the compliments or the admiration of people, you will die by their rejection.
mm,
And rejection was something I was scared to death of.
mm.
My whole life I've been afraid of rejection. So I would never ask for anything. So therefore I wasn't, I just didn't ask. I just settled.
Yeah. And what you said there around people making comments about you, although they
Hmm.
didn't realize how much they stuck with you, it was really shaping your life. And I believe a lot of
Hmm.
listeners out there, and I know myself, we hold on to those little
Hmm.
throwaway comments that someone says, not even thinking, but we hold on to them and then that starts shaping our lives
I've
around
got
that
several.
comment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So sorry, you go first.
go. No, go ahead. Go.
So
I
you
just.
you started writing down, journaling, and bang,
Hmm.
you've realized you're out of alignment. What was the first small step you took towards change?
Um, I first made the decision. I just made the decision. I will not quit on
Mm,
this. Um, Now, saying it is one thing. You can say it one day, but I just made that decision that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm not going to quit it this time. And so I started setting boundaries,
mm-hmm,
and I would say, no, I can't today. I have this. You know, that was another, I made the decision, I set the boundaries, and I just committed to taking more action and staying um, consistent with working every day towards my goals and my dreams. Um, and it's not a magic, snap of your fingers and you never
mm,
have doubts and you never get down and all that. So I say there is a day that I'm feeling doubtful or doubting myself or thinking I can't do this. Those thoughts can still come through.
mm,
And I recognize them now because I know
mm,
now that I'm aware, I recognize them and I just stop stop the thought and I change and I'm like, this is this is going to work. I
yeah,
talk myself back through it. If it's a longer period that I'm not feeling even wanting to cheer myself up or
mm,
give myself a confidence boost, I just quit whatever I'm working on if I'm frustrated about something. Because I work a lot in the evenings too.
mm,
And I just quit for the night. I go to bed. And once you get away from it for even 30 minutes sometimes longer, but the next day it's always different. It's always better. So I don't sit and dwell on it. I don't push myself to really I just get away from it, focus on something totally different.
yeah,
And I listen to a lot of, positive stuff.
mm-hmm,
Um, I still don't tell a lot of people what I'm doing,
mm,
um, just because I don't know. I don't feel like it's not that I don't want their support or I'm afraid of the negative about it. Um, I just don't feel like I need it.
mm.
I don't need to tell them.
You're not needing that affirmation
Mm-mm. Yeah.
or approval
Yeah,
that they're putting
yeah. So I
something.
just want to
Yeah.
work in silence and just
Mm,
do what I'm supposed to be doing. And my results will tell them or show
mm.
them eventually, if they
Yeah.
care to know. And if they don't, that's okay too.
Yeah. So just on that, you've set boundaries, you're making your own choices. How does it feel to start making choices that reflect the real you?
It's empowering.
Mm,
It really is. I know that's a cliche word, but it does empower me. It has turned that little spark into a flame in my heart for what I really want to do. Um, I am so passionate about helping women start their own business,
mm,
especially the women out of direct sales or have been it and tried it and it didn't work for them. So, because I know that feeling, um, because it gives you purpose. And if you know your purpose, that's great. Some people don't even have one or don't know what theirs is. it's there. They just don't know it. And I really want to help them find that passion. What you could probably start talking to somebody and they start talking. I'm like, there we go. I can see
Mm,
it on your face, and then work from that, find the purpose, find the best business model, find the best platform, and then go from there because that will get you to where you are excited when you get up in the morning
mm,
you know, instead of the dread of having to do what you have to do.
mm,
It's you get to do it. I mean, you get to make an impact on people's lives.
mm,
That's, and it's a responsibility. I think I've turned everything around to where if I don't share with what I have, I'm not doing it right. I mean,
mm,
that's what I'm supposed to do. So it's
mm,
a responsibility too. And I think a big part of what I want to do with my business is to not just give women hope, but give them certainty.
mm.
Hope is wishy-washy. I want to give them certainty that they have value
Yeah.
and we can do so much with it.
Mm.
But they need to know it. Sir, they need to just own it. And so that's the first part of my program. I just want them to understand that first and foremost.
Mm. Your program sounds really inspiring, and you sound very excited helping people, or
Hmm.
particularly women, to start their own businesses. Looking back, what was
Hmm.
the turning point for you that you knew you were not going back to your old script?
Um, I think once I started realizing my patterns
Mm,
and I realized that I kept comparing myself to other people.
mm,
Like, say if I was, in the company I'm in, and I would look at somebody, that's at the very top of the company, and I'm like, I want to be her. I want to be her. I want to, and it was so in the way and when you think about that, it's like saying she's better than me.
mm,
Why do I want to be her? She's a person. She worked for where she got, and
mm,
she worked hard for it. And that's awesome. And that I do want, to do those things. But I don't think that I was at all really looking at me.
mm,
And maybe it was avoidance, like we say, sometimes you just avoid having to do that. But I think once I realized my desire to belong and to imitate others and use their scripts. And I was just, it just started, it just started feeling wrong.
mm,
I was like, this isn't me.
mm,
And so once I started realizing that, then I started really looking at myself. And so through those steps was the turning point that and whenever you're in a company and you have a lot of people that are in the same company and you all are
yeah.
in groups a lot and you're friends and you do a lot of things together and go to conferences together and room together, all kinds of things. And at first, at the very beginning, when I started wanting to start this, try to get this going again,
Yeah.
I thought, I don't want to offend them. They're going to think I'm stupid for not staying and really pushing this company and recruiting and, doing all the things that they're coaching us to do, our uplines. And I was fearful of it. That's why another reason I, don't want to get out there and say what I'm doing because they're going to think I'm stupid and worried about what they thought.
Mm,
And um and it wasn't long after that I started doing the inner work and
mm,
realizing how I was thinking and what my vision was not a vision of me on that stage. It was wanting to be her. So now I see me on the
mm,
stage. I see me coaching people and me helping them.
Yeah.
So my whole vision just changed.
Yeah. And for someone listening right now who feels off in their life or business, how can they start identifying their own limiting beliefs?
Um, I would first, I would just start going back and just put yourself back in your, I don't know, sixth grade classroom.
Mm,
That's what I did. I put myself back in that fifth or fourth, fifth, sixth grade classroom. That's the years that I started. That was that. I remember that one hallway in my school, even, that was the hallway, not the when I was younger, first. So I was in that school and I just started writing about what I did,
mm,
how I was on the playground. Um, like I didn't really care to be out there on the playground because I was never included much. I was more of a chunky girl, which that's a whole nother,
mm,
you know, limiting belief that was part of it. And how I would just soon, if the teacher said, "Do you want to grade papers?" And I'm like, she needs me, I'm helping her. So I would want to be the teacher pet. Um, and I always, wanted to be the little cute petite girl. And I was never the one the boys, liked, and I would have a crush on this one, but I would never let anybody know because fear of rejection. And
mm,
I would just start, I just started journaling about how I was, and it just started coming quickly,
mm,
more and more and more. And then I kind of moved to middle school,
mm-hmm.
and see how it followed me and on. Um, so that's how it worked for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
would challenge somebody to do the same because
Yeah.
I didn't realize I always said I'm confident. I have belief in myself. I'm not shy. I knew I
Mm,
wasn't shy, but I sure wasn't willing
yeah.
to be vulnerable and put myself out there
Yeah.
unless I knew I was going to knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good step to
Yeah.
just take yourself back there and really sit in your chair and just remember some of
Yeah.
the things and how things were. I went a whole section, I remember just how I wanted to try for cheerleader and how, you know, I didn't make it and the things that I felt. And there's a lot, if you really start
Mm,
going through some of those days in your life,
mm,
it will reveal
mm,
some things for you.
yeah.
And then once you know what they are, then you can understand how you are today and then go from there to
Yeah. So just
flip the script.
yeah. So just on that,
Yeah.
what are some practical ways to begin rewriting those beliefs so you know they no longer hold you back?
Um, for me, it was an awakening. So for me, it was a energy rush kind of thing. Um, so I was excited to finally understand why I did the things why I was the way I was today. And so um it just motivated me. It made me feel better
Mm,
that there's not anything wrong with me. I just don't have the right belief system. And you can practice, even if you have to just, put positive affirmations, just saying you're worthy and just keep thinking that way. And when you slip, so it's now I'm aware of it.
mm-hmm.
So if you are aware, you can easily catch it, hopefully. It takes more time to catch it more often until you don't do it. But I think it's practice to practice it and to work
Mm,
on it. Um, and to just pump yourself up. I mean, sometimes just listening to a really good song
mm-hmm.
and just believe that it's about you. You know, you're a rock star, you know, and I'm a Christian, so I also remind myself that people's opinions don't matter. I mean, I've always said it over, but now I can say it, and there's a part of me now that knows they don't
Mm,
matter, truly knows. I just used to say it, but I didn't truly believe it because I didn't understand why I didn't believe it.
mm,
And I'm not who they say I am.
mm,
You know, God tells me who I am, and that's my foundation that I re always come back to if I have a doubt.
mm,
And I think that we all have a calling, a purpose, whatever you want to call it. But I do think we're supposed to give back and make an impact on our world, the ones that we can reach. And I'm a very generous person. I think I'm a people pleaser, but I'm also generous. And so knowing that too, that I do have something to give because I love to give. And so it's
mm,
exciting. And if you just keep a positive mindset, and if you start thinking negative, if you start to complain, stop.
mm,
Just stop. Just shut up. And it's not going to do anything. It's just going to, the more you complain, the more you'll find things to complain about, kind of saying.
yeah.
Um, and I truly believe that we do have energy and we attract what we think about. We attract um, how our mind works, what we're thinking about. So
Mm,
if we're always thinking negative, like "Ugh, I quit everything I do. I'm a quitter. I'm a loser. I'm a failure. I can't make anything work. I can't find the right flow. I can't.
mm,
Or so I think that was an issue, even though I wasn't really a complainer because I always tried to look at the positive side of things, but it was usually for other people.
mm,
If somebody else said, "Oh, we can, this will work out, let's think about this." And I
mm.
was always good with other people, but not with me.
Yeah. And just on your wise words and advice there, a lot of energy attracts energy. So if we put out negative
Hmm.
energy, we're going to attract negative energy. Like if we put out positive energy, we're going to attract positive energy. But I like your tool about finding a song and thinking it's about you. I think there'll be a lot of listeners and myself
Yeah.
who find a song and play it to ourselves, thinking it us. So
Yeah.
doing all that work, and we know it takes time and it's
Hmm.
repetitious and it's a lot of effort. How does life feel different when you're living in alignment?
Oh, geez. Um, I feel I feel excited
Mm,
because I could have a lot of days where I had no motivation to do anything. I didn't want to get off the couch. I was just what So I'm excited, and I'm a homebody too.
mm,
I always have people say, "Golly," but I want to I want to network with people. I want to meet as many people as I can. So it's just like a little fire. Like I said, there's like a little fire in me
mm,
that's just going good. It's just, and every day, you just fan the flames with your daily things and your positivity and your positive outlook and keeping that it's going to happen mindset, not if or I hope. It's going to happen. And the more you do it, you get in the habit of it. And so you're just in a constant fanning that flame.
mm.
And it's energizing, it's uplifting. I feel lighter. If any of that makes sense, because you said
Yeah,
how it makes me feel, but
yeah,
it does. Now,
yeah.
not every second of the day. I'm not trying to make this sound like I am like on cloud nine, 24/7. But overall, if you take from what it was to today, that's the difference. And it's so funny because I don't talk about it to anybody else.
Mm,
I do with my Facebook group, I do on these podcasts and when I'm journaling and stuff, but and I'm just excited doing it
mm,
just on my own, of coaches and other colleagues and stuff. But and I can't wait. I mean, I can't wait until I put some huge milestone out there. for people to see what I've done. I can't wait. But I don't care if they care or not, but I can't wait for to give me the satisfaction to finally get to do it because I've wanted to for so long. And I
Yeah.
know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it
Yeah.
does take time and I think you can make it a long time to get, really fired up, or you can
Mm.
speed the process. I think speed is pretty important. Just if you really want it, go fast
Yep.
because it's a lot easier to fizzle out, lose motivation if you go too slow.
Yep.
I'm taking my time, okay, get it going.
Yeah.
Just get it going.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of listeners out there resonating with you because we all look for that thing to ignite us inside, and that's virtually what you were saying is you're living in alignment. It fires you up. You're ignited, and again, we know you can't stay at that level all the time,
No,
but
yeah.
it's really yeah inspiring to hear that that's the shift. And in regards to probably why you don't share it with people or talk about it with people other than your groups is you don't have to because it shows in the way you shine up each day. So that's a nice way to
Yeah. Yeah.
think and feel about that. So just on alignment, do you have a daily ritual that helps you stay aligned?
Not necessarily a
Mm,
ritual other than just making sure my mindset doesn't go too far
mm,
off track.
yeah.
So that's my main thing that I do. I just always, I'm thinking ahead. I'm always trying to think of ideas. So I'm trying to stay creative, but it's just, I always want to make sure that I'm always thinking I'm thinking of things or situations that will only take me where I want to go.
Mm,
And so if I see that it's not aligned with my vision, then that's when I want to really take a U-turn here
hmm
and change things up because you can spiral if you let it stay there too long.
mm,
So, that's why I said kind of speed it up. If you're really working on yourself, do it a lot.
mm,
Don't just, do a 10-minute, listening to something just and then you're good. Really take time because I
mm,
did. I took a few months here and then I was working on myself for a few months and then I started but then when I sat and I was doing better and that's whenever I sat down one day and just started writing and that's when the real change came. But I may have never done that
mm,
if I hadn't already been working on myself.
yeah.
And once I had that turning point, then I just, I started really enforcing it
Mm,
and enforcing it and enforcing it. And doing podcasts, I love doing them
mm,
because it keeps it on the front burner.
yeah.
So I keep talking about it and it fires me up every time and it just keeps you going. And so 6 months from now, it's going to be, I'll have another one to talk about then.
Yeah.
I'll have another story to add to it. And so you just keep, going forward and keep using your story to impact
Mm,
others. And that's the thing. I always thought that the income was, the money was always one of the top reasons. And money is a top reason. I'm not saying it isn't
mm,
because money's a tool and it can do great things. But when I hear somebody say, "Oh my gosh, I never had anybody teach me that way. That is so cool. I love how you did that. And do you mind if I copy that?" Or that fills me up.
mm,
That is truly what fills my cup. And I just thrive on it, you
mm,
know. So
yeah.
I have a degree in education, so I love to teach. I guess it's just in me. And I love to learn. I guess education, I
Mm,
love to learn knowledge. So and I didn't realize how desperately I wanted to do it, to
Yeah.
help and train and teach and coach.
Yeah. So just on that, where can our listeners go to connect with you and make your mark movement?
I'm on Facebook is my primary social media site. That's where I started and that's where I'm most comfortable. I have an Instagram too, but I like to send people to my Facebook profile, which is facebook.com Kelly Passion and Purpose.
Mhm.
I also have a group. It's in my profile, though. You can always find it there. And then I have a landing page that you can see a little bit about what I do. And I think there's like a free offer on there to book a call if people wanted to just chat and just, do a
Mhm.
clarity type call. And that is kellyparkerxo.com/start dash here.
Mhm.
Yep.
Wonderful, wonderful. And if a listener hears your story today and thinks, that's me, what's the first thing you want them to do today?
I want you to stop. And I want you to, first of all, tell yourself that you're valuable.
Mm.
Just look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm valuable. I have purpose and I am meant to be more. Because if they were me, like you said, if somebody is feeling like I did, I knew there was more that I was meant to do and meant to be, more so meant to be. And I think that I want them to know that if you really want to find out what your purpose is, and if you really want to believe in your value, focus on you and your mindset, do the work, and you will find yourself again. And and then rewrite your script.
Yeah. Thank you for those wise words, Kelly. Your story is such a beautiful reminder that we have permission to outgrow the roles and the rules we were once handed, and we can choose a
Absolutely.
life that feels true to us and one that's not just impressing others. So, thank you for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you for allowing me. I loved it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hmm.
This is Positive Vibes with Nicki Dennis. Until next time, keep choosing alignment, keep choosing yourself, and keep rewriting your story. Sending you all love and positive vibes. Bye for now.